Good morning, everyone. Yeah, it's a morning, I believe. So, let me introduce myself first. I've been a web geek since 1993. I fell into the web more than anything else. I didn't get out of it. I joined the WCC in 1999. Now, I did do stuff like the CSS validator back in 1997 as well on that. So I'm currently responsible for the technical mission of the consortium. But at the end of the day, I care about the web. That's the only thing I care about. Now, the Web Consortium was founded by Tim Berners-Lee back in 1994, and he was the director of the consortium until 2023. We allowed him to retire finally at that time. We've been producing a lot of web standards since 1994. That number keeps increasing all the time. We have a lot of standards that are in progress nowadays, and we want to keep making those standards in a consensus-driven manner and to be royalty-free as well. Our vision for the web is very simple. We want to make the web for all humanity. As Tim Berners-Lee said, this is for everyone, and this is what we want to do. We want the web to be good for its users. It's user-centric. We always place the user first, and we want it to be safe as well. And of course, we only want one web. We don't want multiple ones. We have been publishing a set of principles. One of the things that we lost when Tim Berners-Lee retired is the mindset on how we actually move the web forward. We've been basically producing a set of principles to help us keep moving the web forward with that mindset as such. The ethical web principle and the privacy principle, for example, were endorsed by the WCC earlier this year. Now, today, actually, I'm only going to talk about the first two ones. I'm not going to talk about web and mobile today, given the time that I have. But I'm going to talk about AI because everyone talks about AI nowadays, so I have to. And I'm going to talk about identity as well. So, web and AI. So, we've been dealing with misinformation out there for millennia. Okay, there's nothing new in that. There is misinformation everywhere, including on the web. We didn't create the concept. Humans created the concept. They didn't need the web for that. We've been developing code for the past 60, 70 years on that. And codes are biased. We like not them to have bias, but they are inherently biased. And AI is learning from all of that. So yeah, really, you cannot really trust AI, but you can't trust the web either, because the web also was done by humans at the end of the day. And that's perfectly fine. When we deal with AIs, we have to make sure that we have certain ethical principles. As I said earlier, we place the user at the center of the web, and we want to make sure that AI also respects the users as well. And there are ethical principles for that, as such. A lot of consideration that enters into account when you're actually deploying AI on the web. Now, one of the aspects of AI is it is a fast-pacing environment. I mean, there is a new LLM being released every single week. The protocols are evolving pretty fast as well. The market is extremely competing with each other as such. And we are still climbing the high curve. I mean, we are still hoping that AI is going to solve world hunger as far as I know out there. That will continue to be the case for some time. That's okay. It's not the first time we see a new hype curve coming down the road as such. Regulators are also trying to not to lag behind as such. So this is creating a lot of challenges on that. At the end of the day, we are all learning as such. If you are, for example, operating in an open source project, you are starting to deal with a lot of AI slop, where you're receiving pull requests or security bug reports that were actually generated by AI and are completely wrong as such. So, but we are all learning, and that's okay as well. So why AI? Well, I mean, our world is becoming more complex. There is a lot of information out there. There is a lot of things that we are supposed to do out there all the time. And it's really getting more complex for all of us. And trust me, once you get old, it gets even worse. So, but anyway, we are humans, and as such, we are inherently lazy to a certain extent. So we want convenience for sure. We want also easy of use. You know, we want to get stuff done very easily as well, and we want that to do on a cheap basis. Now, why AI the web? Well, AI web has been going on since 1994, took off in 1983 actually. But there is a lot of information there available on the web, and there are also a lot of services available on the web as well. So the AI needs to be able to leverage the web. Otherwise, it's not going to be as useful. Now, keep in mind when we're dealing with the web that a lot of part of the webs are actually not even indexed by search engine because they are behind paywalls or walls, not really findable. So the web is much larger than what has been indexed so far as such. And we keep publishing information on the web every single second as well. If you deal with LLM today, like ChatGPT and so on, they are always at least 1 year behind the web. Their latest occurrence was like last year, 12 months ago. At best, sometimes it's more common that they are 18 months behind what the web is. So you ask questions and you get an answer that was valid last year. Now, who consumes the web? Well, as I said, the web is for humans. So at the basis of the web, this is, as Steve Berners-Lee said, this is really for everyone. And by everyone, he meant humans, by the way. Now, having said that, we as humans, because we're lazy, we're using more and more assistant to interact with the web. Our web browsers are becoming more intelligent in the sense that they are embedding more and more tools to help us navigate the web. And another component of the web has been that it's been used by tools all the time. The most common tools are search engine crawlers, and now what we're seeing is we have AI crawlers as well for the web. So it's creating some friction, including in particular for publishers. So far, until basically a year or two ago, search engines were crawling the web, and it was a symbiotic relationship between publishers and crawlers. You get me more traffic to my website, therefore I have an interest to be indexed in your search engine. AIs are changing that. Users are lazy, they're not clicking on links anymore. They are perfectly satisfied with an AI summary as such. So what's happening right now is we are changing the relationship between who is publishing the data and how much revenue they can generate out of that. We are suffering from an AI opt-outs. More and more websites are looking at ways to basically tell the AI crawlers to go away and therefore reducing the ability of data on the web. There was a workshop organized by the IETF last year, in the Internet Architecture Board more specifically. They published a report actually recently for that. And IETF has been working on how can we iterate robo.txt so that we can actually take into account AI crawlers. Now, we all know that robo.txt, you can lie, you can pretend to be a human, even though you're not. So there are some challenges to be solved. User agents. They are the way that humans tend to actually interact with the web. The most classic user agent is the web browser, but there are a lot more user agents like that who are acting on our behalf. At the end of the day, they are acting on behalf of the user. So how do we deal with AI when it comes down to user applications? Well, we expect AIs to help two types. The first type is helping the application itself. The applications wants to provide some functionality using AI to the user. So how do we help the application to do that? Whether it's to do, for example, face recognition, speech recognition, translations, everything that an application would want to have available for the user as well. So the AI needs to help the application, but they also need to help the user as well. I want to order a pizza, and the AI is going to actually figure out how to order the pizza using all of the services available on there. So what do we need for that to happen? Well, we need to connect the application to the AI. We have a lot of applications that were written for humans, and we need to connect them to the AI. The AI needs to be able to take advantage of those applications. We also need to connect the AI, well, the first one was being able to take advantage from an application to the AI. The second one is to connect the AI to the applications themselves, whatever they are, mini apps, native apps, web applications. I want the AI to be able to use it, not just use the humans. And we also need to connect the user to the AI as well. So connecting application to AI means that we need to provide an API so that we actually run LLMs. If we have a dedicated LLM that we created ourselves, we want to be able to run it. But we also want to take advantage of pre-installed and available LLMs that are out there, so that from the application. We've been working on the neural network API for the past 3 or 4 years. We have a working group on that, and it's a high-efficiency API to run a dedicated LLM that you download as part of your applications. This is work in progress for quite some time. The other thing is now we have already pre-installed LLMs and we want to use them on the web. Google has been sending a set of proposals that are task-oriented, where they make available to the application an API to do translation, summarizer, writer proofreading, so that the application can take advantage of those things that are available. And that's still work in progress on that. Connecting the AI to the application. This time we want an AI agent to find an application and be able to use it by themselves without human intervention. We're seeing agentic browsers coming into play, where they are actually using AI to help the user more and more. Right now, you have two ways when you download a web application to do that. One is you use the AI itself. You transform your HTML markup into Markdown to do text analysis. You take screenshots to figure out what's happening on the screen. You also do a code analysis as well. If there is an HTML button in your code, then the AI can figure this out as well. But it's not enough. User interface developed by humans are not that easy to be used by AIs. So we need to allow developers to give in to the AI to take advantage of the UI as well. And we have two ways to do that. One is declarative. You can see that I'm using the web right now because there is an overflow. It's CSS for you. One is declarative, and the other one is using APIs. So for native applications, you're going to have to connect them using MCP. You can use an accessibility API available on the platform as well to figure out what's happening in the native applications. Interestingly, for a web browser, we already have an API to pilot a web browser from the outside, and it's called WebDriver. You may have heard about it recently. And we need to be able to allow AIs that are available on the device to be able to use WebDriver to a certain extent in order to be able to control the web browser for you as well. For the web applications, we have several ways to do it. One is declarative. So we have been developing already way area for a long time for accessibility purposes in order to enhance the semantic of the UI and the components of the web HTML pages. So AI can take advantage of that markup to try to understand what's happening in the page as well. There is more ongoing work happening as well to be able to use linked data and expand the semantic of what the AI can understand using linked data. At the API level, there was a proposal released by Microsoft and Google a few weeks ago called WebMCP, which basically allow a developer to tell an AI, this is the function available that you have on the page as well. And of course, for server application on the web, you have the entire discussion about the existing protocol, MCP, A2A, and ANP happening. We need to connect the user to the AI. Agentic applications interact with human in two main ways. One is you have a chat. You can actually have a conversation with the AI. Another way is the AI is basically watching what you're doing and is providing suggestion to you. So imagine that if you're currently a coder, you get suggestion for code while you are actually typing the code as well. So that's a certain type of interaction that you may have with AI as well. And there has been a few efforts to basically be able to integrate that with applications and help developers to provide better conversational application on the web using front ends like MCP UI or NL Web. Let me talk for like 2 minutes about identity, because one of the things that is going to change the web in the upcoming years, beside AI, is going to be identity. Now, when it comes down to identity and how we've been dealing with identity on the web, we started with very basic manners. HTTP 1.0 contained a basic authentication that we used for a little bit of time with a user password type of things, but it quickly ran into limitations. And we switched to use cookies, where we were starting to carry authentication tokens, and then suddenly we can authentify yourself on websites using those tokens. Then we had social web identity who came. All of those social network platforms have been providing identities that we can reuse across different websites. Now governments are getting into the picture because they're like, hey, we have citizens on the web, and we want to be able to also leverage the identity system that we've been providing to our citizens. As such, of course, we need to do that in a very careful manner, because remember that you cannot trust the web. You need to be able to do all of that in a platform that cannot necessarily be trusted. As such, so the use cases are multiples. I mean, the supply chain has been using identity system to be able to trace goods around the world. The energy sectors and the automotive have been using IoTs as well. They're also using identity system. Government is using identity system, as I said. You know, you're traveling, you have a passport, you have a driver license, you have a national ID as well. All of that you're carrying in your wallet. If you are attending in society, if you are a university student, you have diplomas being provided by universities, student ID as well. The Marrakesh Treaty is interesting because it was a treaty signed by WIPO to allow free access to blind people to digital books, and we're still struggling to deploy that on the web. So at the end of the day, we want to replace your wallet, your actual physical wallet, into a digital wallet where you have everything in your mobile phones, and you can basically, carrying your mobile phone, identify yourself as you see fit. And of course, you can also use that for payments as well. It requires, when it comes down to identities, there are several processes that needs to happen, from the pure identification to verifying the identity as well. Doing that in a privacy manner is challenging. Using for authentication, authorization, and delegation. When it comes down to AI, for example, the delegation aspect is very important. We expect our AI agents to be able to act on our behalf, and therefore we need to delegate some of our identities to them. So, to finish, you know, you heard the term agentic web quite a lot, and I like to keep humanity at the center of what the web is going to be. I want the web to continue to empower humanity. We need to be able to facilitate human-to-AI interaction on the web, but we also need to do that in ethical and privacy and security manner, because we want to respect users as well. You'll notice that I keep saying empower humanity. I don't want to empower AIs. I want to empower humanity and use AI to help with that as such. And on that, I'm done, I believe. Yes, thank you.